This video is going to be on reading and using the graduated cylinders. Since we are getting into finding the volume of liquids, we're going to use these a lot in our lab. And also we're going to be using these to find the volume of solids with a process called displacement. All right, so first of all, they're called graduated cylinders. Cylinders because that is the shape of them, okay? So they're cylindrical in nature. And graduated means that they have these lines on them or these increments. Okay, so they're graduated in different ways. Depending on the size of the cylinder, it may be graduated by tens or fives or twos or ones or even 0.1s for the really small ones. I'll show you examples of those as we go. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. This one is a 500 milliliter graduated cylinder. Okay, so this is one of the biggest ones that we're going to use in class, and we know it's 500 milliliters because there it says it right here. All right, so now let's take a look at how a 500 milliliter graduated cylinder is graduated. All right, so each line is worth a value. So we need to pay attention to what those values are. Okay, so the best way to do it is to find one that's labeled. So here it says 400. So I know that that's my 400 line, and I go up here to my 450 line. Every line in between has to be equal. So let's try one out. Let's say it goes up by fives. All right, so let's count them out. So 400, 405, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. Hey, we got it. We know that these are worth 5 on the 500 milliliter graduated cylinder. If you thought it was 10, just try it out before you actually measure anything. So you would know that if this was 400, this might be 410, 20, 30, 40, 50, and that wouldn't work because 450 is supposed to be up here. So sometimes it's a little trial and error, but as you count the lines, just divide, and then you can figure out what each line is graduated to. That's why they call it graduated. Let's take a look at another one here. So this is the 500 milliliter. Now let's focus on our next biggest one. This one's the 100 milliliter graduated cylinder. We'll bring it into focus. All right, so let's just take a look at what the camera's focusing on here at the 70, and here's the 80. And here are our lines in between. Now, this one's fairly obvious. This one's graduated by 1 milliliter. So if you count up, this would be 70, 71, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're halfway there, so I know what's 1. 76, 77, 78, 79, and there's 80 right there. So the 100 milliliter graduated cylinder is graduated by ones. All right, let's take a look at our next one. This one's the 50 milliliter graduated cylinder. Okay, so here's 40 right here. And there's 50 right here. So that's 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. So this one's graduated by 1 also. I think the trickiest one that we work on is our smallest one. This is the one that seems to get the most kids. Okay, so let's get into focus. All right. So this one is labeled, we can see here it goes 2, 4, 6, and 8. So let's be careful on this one. We got to go from 4 to 6, and these have to be even. Well, let's try 1. So this would be 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5. So we're not there, okay, because we're never going to get the 6 up there. Let's try going up by 0.2s. So this would be 4.0, 4.2, 4.4, 4.6, 4.8, 5. Looks like we're doing good. 5.2, 5.4, 5.6, 5.8, and finally 6. So these are graduated by 0.2. This is the one I think that's trickiest for most kids when we get down to our 10 milliliter graduated cylinder. All right, the other thing that you might notice on the graduated cylinders when we read them is they have this weird kind of curved surface. When water enters the graduated cylinder, it forms this thing called a meniscus. Meniscus has a property called cohesion and adhesion. Cohesion means it kind of likes to stick to itself, and adhesion where it likes to stick to other things. Here, I'll give you a demonstration. You notice at the tip of my finger, I have a drip of water. Here comes another one right there. That drip of water wants to stick to me. Okay, that's called adhesion. Water doesn't want to let go unless a force is applied to it. So water does the same thing to the side of your graduated cylinder. It wants to stick to it. Okay, so you're going to have this kind of belly in the water when you read it. This is called the meniscus, and it always looks like this. Now, when we read the meniscus, we want to read the bottom. So in this case, these are graduated by ones. Okay, so this would be 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 16. How we would read this measurement is we would say that this one is measured 17 milliliters right here. Okay, so you always want to get your eye all the way down at the level of the meniscus. So it actually looks like this. Okay, so first of all, make sure that you get down at the level of meniscus. So you have to squat down by the lab tables. Another thing with graduated cylinders, especially if we're using glass, is they break. So they're tippy. So make sure you keep them away from the side of the table. So when I read this meniscus on this one right here, I would have to literally squat down and read it to get an accurate measurement. If I was below it, or if I was below it or above it, I would not get an accurate one. All right, so let's get some practice on how to read these. Let's start with our 500 milliliter graduated cylinder. All right, so we get the camera down to eye level. And we can see the meniscus there. So we know that this one is graduated by 5s. Okay, so there's 300 right here. 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 40. This is 45, and it's between the 45 and the 50. Now I look at the bottom of the meniscus, and it's right on 345. So I would read this one 345. You can see the top of the meniscus here is right about 350, but the bottom of it here is at 345. All right, let's go to our next one. This one is our 100 milliliter graduated cylinder. Remember, always down to eye level. Okay, so here you can see the top and bottom. There's something that wants to stick to something on that side. All right, so I see the bottom of the meniscus is right on 60, and the top is about on 61. So I would call this one 60. I believe that would be our best measurement. All right, let's go to our next smallest one, and this is our 50 milliliter graduated cylinder. Eye level. Graduated by 1, so 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So I would say that that's 36. Because the bottom of the meniscus is right there. All right, and you might be noticing that the meniscus gets more pronounced the smaller we go. So the smaller the diameter of the graduated cylinder, the more extreme the meniscus gets. All right, so this one here looks like, now remember, these go by 0.2. So here's 5, so I'll start here. So that's 5, 5.2, 5.4, 5.6, 5.8, and 6. So I would go with 5.8 on that one there. All right, good luck. There'll be some set up in the back of the room for you. Record your values to the nearest graduation.